Jacques from USP who recently hosted one of those. And if any other investors would like to host one of those, talk to us after. Sometimes we do events that are focused around the vertical. For example, as part of the most recent Innovation Week, we did something called Industry Day. And my industry called we focused last year on cybersecurity. And I see many familiar faces here in the room of people that came to that event, both entrepreneurs and corporate executives. So we're going to do it again next year. Again, stay tuned. We have a space at the Palo Alto JCC that was graciously donated to us by the Palo Alto JCC, which every community member is welcome to come and work. If you're in Palo Alto and you're looking for just a shared space to work from, you're looking for a meeting room, it doesn't cost you anything and you're welcome to come, book yourself online and come and join us. And we try to make the space thrive and the community thrive by hosting group talks and one-on-one office hours. It's kind of like a doctor's visit, so if anybody wants to feel a doctor for a day, we'd love to have you come over and we'll invite entrepreneurs to come and get advice. One of actually my favorite programs is called Women in Tech. It's a monthly meetup of women in tech, surprise, surprise. We have a chapter in Palo Alto, a chapter in San Francisco, because people in Palo Alto don't want to drive to San Francisco and vice versa. A chapter in Tel Aviv, and actually tomorrow night we're launching a chapter in New York. Woo! Yes, and I'm going to get the red eye from here to New York for that. We're also planning for Boston and LA, so if you're visiting from out of town in one of those three cities, please talk to us and help us reach more women in tech in your area. SB 101, probably my favorite program. This is a boot camp for Israeli founders that are coming from Israel to Silicon Valley to learn about how to do business here, get feedback on what they do from people like you that know their way around here, kind of improve the trajectory of the work. And actually, an interesting thing is that it starts, in the beginning we called it a 2-week program, but now I think it's a lifetime program because the community of the alumni that was, created by itself after that is actually even more powerful than the 2 weeks, I think. And there are some of the alumni of the program here in the room, and I'm excited to see them. It's like the kids come back home. It's really fun to see them again. And actually, we also have in the room, I think, 2 people that are going to be in batch 7 that we just selected and offer them the spot at batch 7. So that's also exciting. Icon Insider is a series of events we hold in Israel. So if anybody's going, you're going for a board meeting, you're going for a family vacation to Israel, you just want to go to Israel, you're looking for a reason to do something, we would love to do something with you in Israel. Let us know when you plan to travel. We can help with accommodations, but we also would love to do something together, kind of do Silicon Valley and takeaway and bring the knowledge over there. And Israeli entrepreneurs in the room, check us out. We have a lot of activities in Israel too. We're working on a members directory together with Wix. I'm hoping we can launch that soon, and then you can all see who else is an Icon member. We're online on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We have a closed group on Facebook. It's called Icon Close Community. You're welcome to join, and we're going to approve you, and then the conversation can continue. How do we do it? It takes a village. So we have only 5 in our team, but you are, in a way, our team, because so many of you email me later, I have someone you should meet, I have someone we should bring to those events. I want to help in one of those ways, and I want to make an introduction, I want to donate money, my company can donate money. So we can do it just because of all of you. This is our steering committee, in which it's on board. They help make decisions and guide us. So it's a pretty diverse group of investors, corporate executives from all over. And of course our sponsors, because we don't ask for money for anything that we do. These companies may believe in us. Many of them, actually most of them from day one, and make it happen with their generous funding. So I want to say thank you. And actually a special thank you today to Government of Israel, the Israel Export Institute, I would say the Prime Minister's Office National Cyber Directorate, for helping for doing this event together with us. And I have Sharon here who wants to say a few words.
Really quick, first of all, a huge thank you to Icon for putting this fabulous event together. Again, anyone who isn't involved with them definitely should. And lastly, for anyone who doesn't have meetings with the Israeli companies, I highly encourage you to come by our booth this week. We're in the South Expo, booth 653. Please come ask me if you have any questions, and anyone on our team, if you can raise your hand that's still here. I think just Moran and Natasha. We're here to help you. We're here to connect you with the Israeli companies, so please come by. Thanks again.
So the reason you came from today, and no, it's not going to be a summit dance by me, but we have those great speakers. So I'm going to introduce them and then I'll invite them to come and join us here. Tara is the Senior Vice President, Strategy and Corporate Development at McAfee. She leads mergers and acquisitions and business development for one of the world's largest pure-play cybersecurity companies. Most recently, she served as Vice President of Strategy and Corporate Development at Seagate. Prior to Seagate, Tara served as Managing Director and Director of Research at MCG Capital Corporation. She earned her bachelor's degree in economics from Marquette University and an MBA from the University of Maryland. And Adam is an entrepreneur and operations executive, having founded a security product company and held leadership roles with several Fortune 100 companies. Adam is currently Vice President and CISO at Walmart. Prior to this role, he co-founded Blue Box Security, acquired in 2016, was the CISO of Salesforce for Roku business unit, and led security and compliance at TiVo and within the Walt Disney Company. One of my dreams to work with Disney. Adam holds CISSP, CISA, and NSA IAM certifications and received an MBA from Florida State University. Welcome and thank you.
Right, so one of my questions I have for you is, if you were me, you were heading up strategy for McAfee, you were a McAfee customer, what would you advise me to go look at in terms of spaces that you think McAfee should go acquire?
Yeah, so when I look at acquisitions, I sort of bucket companies into three spaces. I think of companies as feature products, niche point solution products, and companies that I think can go out and be their own big, great platform, right? Can be a McAfee type size company. For companies like McAfee, I love either the feature players that haven't gotten too big, have reasonable evaluations, and can be tucked in pretty quickly, but that save y'all innovation time and give us as a customer those key features, those key add-ons that we really need, or the point solution companies that kind of fit in, that you might have already partnered with, or that extend our operations and the things we're doing. Right now, a couple of the spaces specifically that I like, anything that's collecting telemetry data and allowing us to really understand that and make real fast decisions off of the endpoint. I love that space right now. Process automation, I like, and anything that is stopping threats on the endpoint in a faster, more effective way, I like. But I caveat that one because I really don't want more things on my endpoints either. So that one's a little dangerous.
Yeah, I think that we have our strategies pretty aligned with that. As we look, first we have an effort in terms of kind of gathering all of the telemetry and really starting to apply analytics to it. So as we look at acquisition, that's one of the spaces, the kind of big data, and not just limited to cybersecurity. We're actually looking at, are there small companies, the super smart management teams that can help accelerate our ability to really understand what that data is telling us. So that's one piece. And then I think when we look at our strategy, we look at Endpoint is our biggest franchise, and what we want to protect the most. It's really under attack right now, pretty dramatically, and it's under attack by companies who are funded by VCs who are not profitable. And we happen to be funded by TPG, which is private equity, and we don't have the choice. We've got to be profitable.
Yeah, that profitability problem, that makes it hard for companies to operate.
Especially in this environment, all the valuations are just really, really steep at this point in time, and it's very challenging for us to go to our board and actually justify. But I do agree with you. I think the smaller, earlier stage tuck-ins are where we really can make a difference.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I look at the endpoint space right now, there's so many products out there that frankly I can't tell the difference in anymore. It's all the same marketing, it's all the same sales pitch, it's all just telling me the same thing. And when I run them side by side and we throw them in our lab and we test them, we're not seeing wildly different results from what we already have. And so we have McAfee, we have a couple other vendors that we use for point solutions about our enterprise, And frankly, we're not seeing that big of a difference from these VC-backed companies that are trying to kind of eat your space. So we thought it's very interesting that it's such a crowded space, and there's all these companies running at a loss today. And we look at that and say, okay, where are you going to be in 5 years? Are you still going to be around? Because if I'm going to roll you out to 400,000 to 1 million endpoints, I'm going to put you on pharmacy systems, I'm going to put you on gas pumps. You sort of have to exist in a few years for me to be able to do that. We think it's really interesting because there's been such a big investment in it, but we're not really seeing the difference, with the exception of maybe a couple here or there that are, again, key features versus long-term platform plays.
Yeah, and I think that as we look at Endpoint and kind of investment, we have our strategy called Place to Cloud. And so what we've really actually been starting, like although we still look at Endpoint, we're actually starting to pivot. We did an acquisition about a year ago of Sky High Networks, which is in the CASB space. And we're using that as kind of the cornerstone to start to build out what our cloud strategy is. So that's another area where we're definitely interested in looking at companies that could potentially fit the bill for acquisition.
So how does that run into, turn it around a little bit and ask you a question. You know, Alphabet or Google announced today Decibel, which is their new kind of logs to the cloud, do analytics. And most people said that this is really a target of Splunk and similar companies. But I think every security company is starting to kind of pull stuff back to the cloud side and do the analytics and give you your threat intel at that side. Does this validate that space for y'all a bit?
Absolutely. I think that is definitely an important aspect for us in terms of looking at it. It scares us. You know, I think the other company I would put in there is Microsoft, right, in terms of these players moving into security and making phenomenally large investments into the security space. I think, though, that we still believe that there's a value to be added on top of some of these solutions, that their level of sophistication and the fact that they have to be so universal in their approach that they can't necessarily be, fine-tuned enough to really get what we think the customers need.
Yeah, if you had asked me even just a few years ago if I thought Google would be part of my enterprise strategy for security, or even Microsoft, I would have said no. Really, the OS and this whole kind of OS cloud vendors, if you will, they were just something you wrote on top of, right? I think Apple was the first OS vendor that we saw take security from a design perspective in iOS, and really say, hey, we're going to own this end to end. Microsoft got very serious about security back in the late 2000s, but through the product group, we're seeing them roll out a lot more. And now, possibly Google is getting the space. We'll see kind of what happens with that. But I think it's interesting because when I look at these, and I look at the cloud players, I look at the OS players, I say, you're the commodity of security. We were the common denominator across everybody to create a very generic offering to have something. You're great for the SMBs, not necessarily for the big enterprise. And then that's where we need the pure play security players like, maybe Symantec or McAfee or whoever that's out there to really kind of layer on top and give us really the features, the functionality, and the horsepower to do the things that we need to do. But I'm really glad to see these companies provide something for the other customers.
Yeah, so what we're doing actually, we just rolled out a product called MVision, and that actually sits on top of Defender. And what it does is add an extra layer of security on top of Defender. It's a cloud-based delivery platform. And we have obviously very preliminary results, but there's like 80% of what Defender isn't blocking, the McAfee solution is actually starting to block. So we're now working to get a third party to validate that for us, because it doesn't take a lot of credibility when you say it yourself.
You mean your own salespeople saying your product is great? Like, how many of you would tell me your product is great? Like everybody's hand should go, yeah, there you go, she's right there on the front. She's like, yes. Yeah, that doesn't work very well.
Yeah. You know what I think would be interesting is to talk a little bit about what you do outside of Walmart in terms of investing.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant just outside. I was going to say sleep and watch TV. That's what I do. So I live in a very weird world. I sold a company, and everybody expected that I would be a VC after that. I decided to go back to enterprise and do it at least one more time. And I decided to go to a very hard enterprise environment. Walmart is the largest company on the planet, and is not a tech company. And I said I want to make it one and do my little piece of that. And so I have that, and that keeps me very busy and very stressed. But outside of Walmart, I still leave one foot into the VC and the startup world. So I spend a lot of time advising startup companies. I work with Wild Ventures. I saw them running around here somewhere. But I work with Wild Ventures out of Tel Aviv and a few VCs here out of the Bay Area. And I spend a lot of time looking at who's doing what, who are the smart people, what are they building, what problems are they trying to solve, and advising both on the investment side, the startup itself, and sometimes the buy side as well. And it gives me sort of a kind of hectic life, but an interesting view because I'm seeing two sides of the equation many times of what's happening in the market.
And how do you deal with when potentially there's a conflict of interest?
A lot of paperwork. There's probably at least one company in here that's had to go through this with me, but I never want to cross an ethics line, and I never even want to get close. I don't want anybody to ever think that I would even do that. So I actually conflict myself out of investments and out of advisory deals that if I see a product, I'm like, I think we're going to use it, I should not be an investor. I pull myself out of that and say, hey, what's the greater good here? And I always err on the Walmart side, the benefit of Walmart is just the right thing to do. And when somebody that I do have equity in ends up trying to sell into the company, we have an entire ethics process and paperwork that I fill out for that, and I recuse myself from all of those deals. But it's in my role, it's something I have to make sure that I do, and to be extremely above board with at all times.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe open it up and see if you guys have some questions for us?
Yeah, it's been a quiet audience so far. So, what do y'all want to hear about? What do y'all want us to talk about? What questions do y'all have? So we're freaking everybody out now. So it's like, hold on, we weren't prepared for that. We didn't know they were going to do that. And we're like, here we go. Okay, yeah.
So you both mentioned cloud, one for Microsoft, one for Google, but same solution eventually. We both of them consuming box going to the cloud. And I just kind of want to explore a question to you, your perspective in terms of how open are you to having all of this data leaving the enterprise?
I mean, cloud's not new. First company I ever worked for, a full-time job, not consulting, was in 2000. We were a SaaS vendor before SaaS was a term. And everybody was giving us all their travel data and their PNRs, all the reservations, where people were flying and all this stuff, right, for government entities. People have been outsourcing their payroll and their HR services for many, many years. That's my most sensitive data. Like, what do I care about the most? If you ask me at the end of the day, I care about my employees, like personal data, over everything else. Customer data is probably right there with it, but that's the stuff I care about. If I'm willing to put that into a cloud solution, be it IaaS or SaaS or PaaS or whatever, everything else is probably fair game as well. Now, it just comes down to what platform, what controls, and what am I doing. And if I can meet all of those things, it's fine, it's acceptable, it's all possible to do it.
Yeah, I'm just going to comment a little bit on cloud in that McAfee's installed customer base tends to be like Fortune, our sweet spot is the enterprise, so it's supposed to be like the Fortune 5000. And as we look at that space and we look at the migration to cloud, there's still a tremendous amount of assets that are on-prem. And so we can't run to the cloud because we've got to make sure that we are still taking care of our customers. And that kind of causes us to not be able to make those significant investments or those significant pivots because we know the pain from when we shut down an email that our customers let us know that they didn't like that and they didn't like that we weren't supporting them. So I think we learned and we will not do it again.
I would say that's one unique challenge that we have at Walmart is we are so much larger than all of the cloud providers out there that we actually have to worry about cloud providers not being able to support us and the fact that we change the economics of their model. So if I become a cloud, if I become a customer of some of these cloud providers, be it SaaS or IaaS, I actually break their economic model, like scale all of a sudden is completely different, and they end up scaling up so much infrastructure to support me that we're just a bad deal some days, to be completely honest. But we have to actually worry about that, and then we have to go cloud agnostic, and sometimes we're going to our vendors and saying, hey, you run in one cloud, maybe you need to run in 3 so that you can properly scale or be where I need you in the world. And that actually brings in an interesting, that's then when we get back to kind of the security, privacy, and regulation side of it, brings an interesting challenge of where I'm putting my data, which countries can I store that data in, and just kind of all the things that go on with that.
Yeah, one of the things that we've been spending time on is looking at the political environment and looking at the regulatory environment.
I was trying to skip on the political part.
Why not? But I just meant in terms of what that impact is going to be on security in the future. And then that's definitely been kind of a wild card for us, quite honestly.
Yeah, totally see that. All right. What else?
Well, you were talking about telemetry from systems and security telemetry in general. What do you think the industry could do better in terms of capturing? What kind of telemetry is really untapped right now that would be really valuable to you to have?
Well, I don't think we need additional data. What it is, we actually have too much. So if you think about McAfee, there's two lines of business. We actually have a consumer business and we have the enterprise, and there's over 500 million endpoints that we're managing. So there's a tremendous amount of information that comes into McAfee. It's really understanding what to do with it and how to make that data actionable and valuable.
Yeah, I would say we see the same thing from the enterprise side. I mean, we have a crazy amount of data that we collect from around the world, and frankly, a lot of it we go through and we say, well, we've never used this, and we won't, and we just started collecting to see what we might do with it. I have a slightly different part of that question I'll answer from a different perspective. So I own our business relationship for our e-commerce and for some of our store stuff as well. So I actually see a lot of attacks that are not against us, but are against our consumers. And so account takeover type of things, right? User used their password on website X got breached, they happen to be using the same password on our website, now it's my problem. So I'm solving that problem some days. So one of the interesting things for me is we start to think about user telemetry or customer telemetry. This gets into a really weird space. I don't want to know you. I actually don't want a lot of information on you because I want to protect your privacy. I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to be creepy big brother. But I kind of want to know enough about you that if somebody's logging into the account, I can say this is you or not you. But at the same time, I don't want to make you use two-factor. I want to offer it if you want to use it, but I don't want to force you to. I don't want you to have to do a CAPTCHA. I just want to kind of magically know all this. So one of the big problems that I spend my time thinking about is how do I collect more data when consumers are doing business with us, whether it's in the stores, it's online, it's personal shopping business, whatever it might be, so that I can make better security and risk decisions for that consumer's account and buying habits. And I would say we're doing a great job at that today, but I think there's something untapped there that we haven't hit yet. I don't have the answer, but it's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, the other area that we are looking at when it comes to data is visualization. And looking at some of the ways that we can look at what's happening in our network and be able to make it actionable. And that's been really interesting for us as well, looking at a lot of startups in that space that are coming up with some pretty creative solutions around this visualization of data.
I think we have not. I would say my team hasn't done a huge amount of research on that, and we still think there's a lot more to come from vendors in that space. Yeah, it's something we don't necessarily want to develop internally. It's kind of one of those buy first build things where we're probably on the buy side to start with. Y'all are a quiet audience.
As a CISO, what's your main concern? I mean, you mentioned employee data and customer data. Is it really that, or is it business interruption? Is it, what are you trying to solve?
So if somebody interrupts my business, they take down my website, they take down my stores, I can make that back. I can figure that out. That's a solvable problem. The damage there is to the company. We made $514 billion last year. If I lose $1 billion or two, the company will still run, right? Like my bonus is impacted, and the company will still run. Hopefully the CFO never sees this. Anyway. But if you're a customer and I lose your data, or I allow fraud to happen on your account, and you call us and you tell us about it, we don't stop it, it continuously happens. If your pharmacy, because we also run one of the largest pharmacies in the country, if your pharmacy data is breached and stolen, and that's resold and used to attack you, we've lost your trust. That is a problem I cannot fundamentally fix. CEO gave us an interesting goal. So try to be the most trusted retailer in the country. I feel like that falls right on my shoulders. Hopefully some other people have stake in that as well. But that's the thing I take the most serious is the people elements, whether it's an associate or it's a customer. If I lose that data, I may not be able to repair that relationship. I can't build that trust. So that becomes the most important. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that and that goes around that. And that's all of the technical bits, and that's all the policies, and that's all the other things that go on. But at the end of the day, that's actually the driving force of everything my teams do.
What's the biggest threat, right, in terms of, if you look at it today, do you think it's phishing? Where do you see kind of their weakest exposure?
Yeah, I think, so we have a dedicated red team, so we run active red team scenarios. So we don't go just assume breach, we go full on, they start outside the company, they're like my rogue warriors basically. And I would say business to business unit is always something different. We just announced we acquired a company last week. Who knows what we'll find there, right? It's just what it is. Everybody's at a different maturity level. When I look at the industry data, though, so I'm not just comparing us, but when I look at the industry data and I talk to my peers, every one of my peers says the same thing. It says it's phishing. It's maldocs, it's phishing, which leads to maldocs, which leads to something else, but they get on the endpoint, and then the endpoint is the pivot place from there. We're not seeing in the industry, we're not seeing a lot of SaaS breaches, we're not seeing a lot of cloud vendor breaches. And, go back 6 years ago, and everybody's like, oh, the cloud is insecure. It's part of their job to do security. Right? So we're not seeing that. So it's still a lot of the phishing and maldocs, a lot of the same stuff that realistically has been there for decades, and that companies or people have just said, no, user experience trumps everything else. So we're going to enable macros, and we're going to click on the thing or whatever. That's what we're seeing. But we also are finding that we're seeing a lot of advances in like the Office suite and the operating system and the endpoint vendors. That is making a big measurable difference in that right now for us.
I would say we at McAfee, our SOC is customer zero. So everything goes to the SOC before it even gets released in the product, in the field. But I would say phishing for our team is probably top of mind as well in terms of, and we're a security company, right? But it's still employees not doing right?
Yeah.
Not knowing right.
Yeah, we have that, and then probably the second largest thing that we just look at is the attack surface, just because we're such a large company. Because we have, whatever it is, 6,000 stores just in this country alone. That's an attack point for my enterprise. That's 6,000 attack points for my enterprise. Then you factor in that we're in 27 countries, and I can't watch all of them all the time. We have just a big physical footprint, but then we have a big digital footprint as well. Plus, I have a huge employee base. We have 2.3 million employees. So I have this huge employee footprint as well. So I have these three massive attack surfaces I have to think about. But still, hands down, like we're seeing the attackers are really going after the phishing because the attackers are distributed around the world and they don't want to be on my video cameras in my stores and that sort of thing. So we're still seeing that as the thing that we really have to watch. And we're taking that data also from our peers out there in the market.
How are you looking at IoT in terms of kind of what your strategy is? It's pretty easy.
Never want to answer that one. IoT is interesting. I have an interesting kind of perspective on that because IoT is not new, right? We've had things connected to networks for decades, right? Those things have had security vulnerabilities for decades because the code was written decades ago. It's always been there. IoT is the new buzzword because some people have got companies founded around it, marketing people are going to talk about it, the press wants to talk about it. Outside of, maybe some state-sponsored attacks that have been in the news, I go out and I talk to my peers and nobody is saying that they're actually seeing a big threat in their enterprise. They know it's there, they realize it's a threat, they realize they have to do something about it, but I've not found anybody I've talked to that has said, this is how we've been breached. Now, that being said, we don't want to be the first one, so we have a strategy around it, and it's basically a twofold strategy. It's fix and defend. Fix all the stuff, either replacement, patch it, whatever we can do for everything that we can. For the stuff that we're unsure what it is or what to do with it until we can get our partners to do something about it, it's defend it, and it's defensive depth. It's wrap the layers around it as much as we can to segment that stuff off. But I think it's going to become a bigger problem for organizations over time. Because I think people are I think attackers are starting to look at it saying it's there. Like I almost feel like we as an industry told the attackers where to look. Shame on us. So I think they're going to start looking at it more.
Talk about customers, employees as a threat vector. What about third-party vendors?
So what about third-party vendors about being a threat? Yeah, I mean, anybody that's in our supply chain, if they're providing something or they're connected to us, they're obviously, a risk for us. I mean, one of the largest breaches in history, I won't name the company, has been a decade at this point. Their breach was through their HVAC management company. It came in through that third-party vendors, the networks were connected, and they came in. Absolutely. Those third-party vendors, both either connected or just holding the data, are a huge risk.
How do you budget for the endpoint security? I mean, there's like, if you come to RSA, there'll be 1,000 companies offering only $8–10 a month, only $2 a month, right? How do you budget?
So the question everybody can hear is, how do we budget for endpoint security? You come to RSA, companies will tell you it's $8 a month, $2 a month, whatever it is, per agent, per endpoint. First of all, we're just such a large footprint that we're sort of an anomaly in pricing. I can't go with off-the-shelf pricing for endpoint. Those models just don't work for us. If we tried to calculate that out, you would just take all of Walmart's revenue because we're that big. So unfortunately, we skew those deals, and we have to work with our partners on pricing that actually makes sense, that we can afford. But the way that we sort of think about it is, we have an endpoint. An endpoint is attack surface. It's vulnerable. There's something we have to do, and we define what is that thing that we have to do to defend that. And then we go look at what solution do we need, solutions, if there's multiple things, and then we just frankly budget against the need like we budget anything else. But the pricing, we don't really get into this. Each agent, we're going to pay $10 a month and all that.
No, but
TLAs.
total, how much do you invest per endpoint?
Oh, how much do I invest per endpoint? Unfortunately, I can't say that publicly. I can't put out what we spend, because then I'll have every vendor in the room come to me with a better deal. What else? I know there's some requirement lines in here.
What about the build versus buy?
Build versus buy. I think you can talk about this.
I can talk about that. So right now, building looks much more attractive than buying, based on valuations. But I think we recognize that we don't have certain skill sets within that. And so as a result, we definitely have to go and acquire. I've been at McAfee for about almost a year. My second week last year was at Fireside. Imagine my head was spinning coming from storage. But I think that the acquisition, we haven't done anything since I've joined. And so I think when we look to the future, that cannot be sustainable. We need to go and make sure that we go get innovation and bring it back.
And what about the customers? Do you build security services or security elements, or you prefer to buy everything?
Man, I prefer to build everything if I could. That's in my DNA. I want to build it all. I want to put all y'all out of business. Some of them are cut and dry. Sometimes it's a solution is better for me to buy because I just don't have expertise in-house, and I will never hire that expertise because it wouldn't make sense for me to. Sometimes a solution really benefits from a network effect. The more customers, the more valuable that solution becomes. I would never build that because I would be doing myself a disservice by that. Other solutions though, if I think that I'm going to use them for a long term, I'm going to use them for 10, 15 years, I might just go build that instead of buying it. If it's something that's very custom to us, or I feel like is so integral into my strategy, those kind of things I'll look at building so I can truly own the roadmap. One of the things I'm doing, and actually this is the first time I'll actually announce this outside the company, but one of the things I'm doing later this year is I'm hosting a security innovation summit at Walmart. It's the first one we've ever done. I'm using my personal network from VCs and startups and PE firms to invite startups, really early stage startups in, so that I can build a relationship. One of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to actually change this exact equation. Right now I have a very rigid line of where I should build and buy. If I can bring in early stage startups that realize me being part of their roadmap is valuable, that input, that being in my environment, that my people yelling at you when it goes down really is valuable for the next 5 commercial deals you want to do. If I can find those partners, that actually changes the equation. I can buy more because I can get more stuff that will fit into my strategy, but I can do it at a price point that actually makes sense for me over the long term. And then they benefit because, well, they get a huge marquee customer, but also they get the commercial experience way earlier at that scale than they ever would have before. So later this year, I'll actually be hosting a summit to bring companies in to fast pitch us and do follow-ups on a couple key areas that we'll define so that I can actually try to change that equation for myself a little bit.
And will equity investments be a part of that activity?
I don't know. We have talked about it. So Walmart obviously has an investment arm. We also have an incubator company called Store8, and it was announced last year that we put $5 million into an Israeli VC teammate as well. So we do some investing, and it is quite possible, or maybe I'll find a team that I just want to acquire.
Yeah, then you just got a personal friend.
Exactly, there you go. There's my personal side as well.
So the rumors are telling that Walmart.com is one of the largest software company in the world. So on the application side, how much of application you guys developing versus buying off the shelf? And the second question, how you bake security into this application framework development?
Sure.
You're on the hot seat.
Yeah, I know. I was like, come on, dude. Yes, I won't comment about if we're going to become one of the biggest software development companies in the world. What I will say is Walmart has a deep tech DNA. Most people don't realize that we run our own satellite. We literally have a satellite in orbit that we launched in the 1980s. It's still there. I've been to the control room. It is real, and we're still navigating it. When our stores go offline because of natural disasters like in Puerto Rico, we send satellite relay equipment down to get the store back up online before all of the infrastructure is back up in the entire country or region where we are. Because frankly, we have to. It's back to our customer commitment. We're the largest employer in Puerto Rico, and we're critical to getting supplies to those people and getting them running. So deep-rooted tech DNA, but I'll stop at that on that front. As far as just general enterprise application and development, we build a lot, frankly. We build a lot. And it's the same strategy I just kind of talked about. It's what's the stuff that's going to be really core to our business and that we know that we can design better than anybody else because we know the problem space better than anybody else. We will build those things. Out of our incubator, store number 8, you'll start to see a lot of, I mean, we've talked about a number of them, but you'll start to see a lot more that are coming out of that as well. And then how do we integrate security? Frankly, Walmart's a company that cares about security, so my job's a little easier than it probably has been in other companies, to be frank. But we're integrated with our dev teams and all of our processes. So it's a vertical integration versus a silo type model. It's a vertical integration across all of our development and technology teams, which works out really, really well for us.
What's the level of visibility that you report in terms of security?
Too much. No, we're very frank. We're very open with our board. Our board actually really good partners. You know, some people say that they want more time with their board. I can speak for myself and my boss. I don't think that that's something we would ever complain about. And whether it's our parent company Walmart board or our Walmex board, which is our publicly traded company in Latin America, or boards of our acquisitions like Flipkart. You know, we have great visibility with them, and more than just visibility, we're a partnership. So we actually go to them and show them and say, look, this is the thing that we care about. And we actually showed them an adversarial model one day, and we said, yeah, we can stop all this stuff. This right here, this is the NSA. We don't know what to do about that. Like, you know, but we have those conversations, very frank conversations with them. And what we've learned is being very transparent with them and having conversations with them. Like, they'll get a little nervous sometimes, as anybody would, right? Just like if the CFO saw my expense reports, he might get a little nervous some days. But the partnership that comes out of that has been tremendous. So we've been very lucky in that respect.
Yeah, makes sense.
So there's a general shortage of security talent out there. So I was wondering, from your perspective, how do you deal on the hiring front to get the security talent you need? And also what we could all do better collectively to build up that defender and shortage here, because the adversary really has an edge right now. How do we get the defenders to be more effective? How do we build up the security talent?
So I can't really answer that how do we get talent because in the corporate development side of the talent that we look for is not cybersecurity professionals. But I can talk to a little bit about what we want to deliver to our customers and what I think we would love to kind of see innovation-wise. If we look at managed services and we look at the idea of wrapping our product with services that will enable our customers to more quickly. I mean, security is sophisticated, and if you have a shortage of people, you've got complex solutions, you need help. You need to be able to help those customers to figure out how to go ahead and deploy those solutions. So we are actively looking at services. We do not want to go down the professional services model. that's not what we're interested in. We're really interested in what are some of the technologies out there that we can use to either automate our solutions or something that's leverageable that we can actually use across multiple customers that wouldn't be like a body shop like professional services.
Yeah, and for me, I always look at it as solutions that we bring in should allow humans to use their brain. Like, let people do the things that people need to do that the machine can't rationalize. The more clicks or time managing something that somebody has to spend, that's a really bad use of a human's time. It's a really bad ROI on my hiring, especially at what it costs to hire security people right now. Like, if they spend 4 hours tinkering with a tool to get it to work or work right or reconfigure it, I just lost a lot of money that I needed, like, spent defending my company instead, right? So from the vendor space and the product space, it's take that burden off people. I would say Microsoft did this. They did one of the best things for enterprises. There's some people that are going to hate this because it kind of probably affected their job. They took their mail service Exchange. So every big enterprise had Exchange. And every big enterprise had 3 to 4 people that managed that, minimum, right? You had 3 to 4 people that managed just the infrastructure for getting email. Microsoft said, that's cool, we're going to take it, we're going to call it O365, we're going to put it in the cloud, and you spend 0 time managing infrastructure for mail. It's like the greatest ROI model ever. It was like, how much, charge me whatever you want, I will now, you just run my mail for me, right? That's the same thing we have to see with security vendors. We're starting to see it. We have to continue to see that. That low touch, low friction is really key. And the other, what was your other question about hiring?
Yes, it's about how to develop that security expertise in the industry in general, how to raise it.
So frankly, I think make being a defender, make being the blue team, make that sexy again. Like everybody that like applies for us, they want to be on my red team, right? Yeah. So like a dedicated team. They're like, we want to be the hackers that break into everything. That's the cool thing. And I'm like, I can't have 600 of those. Somebody has to actually defend the company today, right? So I think, you know, make that sexy again. I think it's getting there though. I think what's happening is we're finally in a time where enterprises are investing in adversarial teams, like a red team, right? That's forcing the defense teams to get better. And it's making their job harder. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is cool again. Like, I get to solve hard problems. I have somebody who actually just moved from my red team to my one of my defense teams. Because she was like, it's actually a harder problem. And I was like, okay, that's my new recruiting line. That's how we're gonna hire people. But I think, you know, showing people that like there's innovation in that, there's innovation in every element of security and all those roles, and building up a pipeline of people that really want to solve hard problems, are willing to tackle that. That's the key, at least for us, for what we're seeing.
Yeah, we're partnering with universities to go and make sure that we can develop the talent. We also have a pretty robust intern program that we use in order to get people involved, interested in cybersecurity. So, you know, it's not going to happen tomorrow by any stretch of the imagination. It's a big problem, but we are kind of whittling away in that manner.
Do you know about SparkCon? Okay. So this will be the 3rd year, May 4th, in Bentonville, Arkansas, where Walmart Space. We are hosting the 3rd annual SparkCon, which is our InfoSec conference. So we have about 1,200 person auditorium in one of our buildings there. And 3 years ago, we decided to open up and do a free, completely free security conference. No vendor sponsors, no vendor money, no ticket sales. You just sign up and come. We pay for breakfast, we pay for lunch, we pay for snacks. We fly speakers in from around the world that were presented at DEF CON or RSA, and we bring those world-class talks to Northwest Arkansas because, frankly, right where Walmart is based, there's a little bit of a void of that. And we said, let's get people talking and let's build that network. And so this is actually one of the things we're doing for recruiting, but also for just giving back. It's giving people this free resource because, frankly, we can afford it, so why not? We have access to do this. So we created our own security conference to kind of help people come, learn, network with each other, and find jobs, whether that's Walmart or another company in the area. Because we actually try to not make the conference about Walmart. We run it for the community.
That's awesome.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Tara, and thank you so much.